Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Safe Room, a survival horror game club podcast. I'm Grace, and with me is Rose.
Oi, Jennifer.
And it's her rule today, because we're played
right.
Rule of Rose.
That's
You're in
right.
charge. You're the queen, or you're the princess, or whatever it is.
I wouldn't be as mean.
I
guess it
so
depends on who you
true.
are.
So
Yeah,
true.
it depends on who you are, I guess. You know.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, it is like, I don't know.
We're yeeting the rich
That's right.
on the safe room.
Well, are these, I guess the orphanage manager seems like a wealthy guy.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't even know exactly how to begin with this in terms of summarizing it, because
We played Rule of Rose. It's a video game.
Yes.
This came out on the PS2.
Mm-hmm. It sure did.
And it was
Published by Atlas.
And it famously was a massive success. Everybody loved it. Everybody played it.
Mm-hmm.
One of these games that was like subject of a misinformation campaign against it by some Italian
I was
newspaper.
seeing this. That's so wild that there was this huge moral panic about it.
Which is very funny considering just how tame a lot of this game is.
Yeah.
But that happened, and now it's one of the rarest games ever.
Mm-hmm.
And Atlas published it in the US.
Man, Edge gave this a 3? Fuck Edge magazine, yo. GameSpot gave it a 6. That's respectable. I understand that.
It is more of a 6 than a 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a psychological horror game where you play as Jennifer and everybody's British. You like go to this like boarding school. Is it a boarding school or is it like a?
It's an orphanage, I think.
Orphanage, yeah.
And
then you're also on this steampunk ship type thing.
Yeah, like a dirigible. Yeah, it's like 1930. And I mean, basically it is like quite literally Jennifer's memories. Cause this is like late game stuff, but this is a spoiler cast. You know what it is. Cause she appears much older than all the other characters in the game, basically.
Yeah, she's reminiscing.
Yeah. And sort of processing her past.
Yeah.
As a child at this boarding school. And where there was like this kind of game the kids would play, or sort of society called the Aristocrat Club, and like every month you had to offer a gift to the Aristocrat Club. They would like request something, and so most of the game is like trying to go find these objects. Your dog Brown can like smell things for you and sniff them out, and find stuff. So it's like a lot of like walking around through a weird space and finding an object, and then you have a limited inventory, so you have to like keep track of like what you actually need and what you don't, and etc., etc. And then sometimes there are little gremlin guys that pop up and you fight them.
Yeah, they look like the They look like the little demon children from Silent Hill almost.
Yeah, they're like that, and they're also kind of like the Bloodborne little ghosty guys.
Yeah.
Like the little message gremlins. Because they have those like elongated faces with like the blank eye sockets and stuff.
Yeah. And they talk all weird.
Mm-hmm.
And late in the game you learn what they're saying.
Yeah.
Do like red crayons for Jennifer or something like that.
Right, yeah. Red crayon makes you a ruler. The thing of like that when she wakes up and she has all the red crayons in her mouth, like I think like you described the game as tame, and that's not wrong because it's mostly like it does eventually like break out into actual violence, right?
Yeah.
Like narratively, like in the actual past. But so much of the game is just about like the little ways children are cruel to each other, right? And the way that like the structure of society or like the place that they're in, the orphanage like encourages this kind of secrecy and cruelty and exclusion, right? And I think it mines a lot of horror out of that, basically. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, for sure. When I say tame, I mean compared to what this journalist writer was making out to be, which was like, the kids are fucking, and Jennifer gets nude and then gets buried alive. It's like, all right, dude. You didn't play the game.
Yeah. Most of that doesn't happen. But she just get buried alive.
This has like she does, and then gets Silent Hilled into her memory realm. But a lot of this is like is presented like it has a storybook, like presentation.
Yeah,
and a lot of it is like masking these like traumatic experiences in a reality that doesn't confront it head on.
Yes, for sure.
In a way that is interesting. And I didn't know what the story was in this game when I finished it.
It is kind of like it's not only like coy, it's like it really does not give you answers straightforwardly, right?
Yeah, it definitely leaves it for you to find journals and diary entries and stuff, and just like environmental storytelling to let you come to your own conclusions about what happens in the game. And not so much like, I don't mean that to be like it's not like a David Lynch thing where there's no one interpretation. There's definitely like a prevailing plot that is gathered from everything that is laid out in the game. But I did like how there was never a time where the game just like turned the camera and said it to you.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm about to make a bold claim.
Okay.
But I think this is when we've talked about for doing this podcast for 2 years or however long we've done it. When we've said like we wish more games were like Silent Hill, Rule of Rose is kind of what I mean by that, because it's not a Silent Hill clone at all. It's totally different. The aesthetic of it's really different, right? It's about kind of different things. Like it's not really like, it's a like grim man with a troubled past who wanders in this town and like confronts him with his sins. Like explicitly the character in Rule of Rose is an innocent, right? Like that's what the game is partially about, being someone who does not hurt other people, right? And being then subject constantly to like unrelenting cruelty. And also that like, it's a little more complicated than that. I don't mean to suggest that Jennifer does nothing wrong. It's, there's stuff to talk about, but like, it's about those kinds of things. It's like, and it's aesthetically super different. It's really pulling on kind of this like I mean, it has a shoujo manga sensibility about it. A lushness and like obviously the focus on not exclusively but primarily young women. There's Lord of the Flies is kind of in it, and the kind of storybook quality, the fairy tale stuff that you mentioned, right? None of that is very Silent Hill-ish to me, but in the sense that it's like a game for, I mean, I don't know if it's like it is kind of adolescent, but I think in a good way. A game for like adults or for older teens, right? That is about complex things and has characters that are psychologically complex and communicates that in part through the environment and the process of play, right? And that's maybe kind of a specific, but like Silent Hill 2 does that. A lot of games don't live up to that. And I think Rule of Rose kind of does. Like, even though it's not a spiritual successor, and Silent Hill is just one of the things that it's in the soup with. But, am I making sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, I think it's cool. It's cool to play something like this. I didn't know that it was going to kind of be like that. And I was very excited about it.
Yeah, I don't think I was as high on it. But I did appreciate a few things. I appreciated was one, the dog, like as a mechanic, was really cool.
Yeah.
Especially since we play so many games that require walkthroughs or are like so obtuse that like it'd be faster to just look at a walkthrough. And so I appreciated the aspect of like it being pretty linear as long as you follow the dog's nose, but also you're encouraged to also explore and get items and stuff like that.
Well, there's sort of a whole like sub game of like you can trade items into the Aristocrat Club to get items. You can like find records and film stuff that you could then play in like the last chapter of the game and stuff like that.
And then so I appreciated that, and I appreciated non-linear storytelling is like I can't think of many games that like made me excited for that idea of non-linear. So I thought it was interesting here because like I said, like so many things in this game, like being in the airship and like a bulk of the game taking place in the airship and just not really like commented upon by anyone. And then of course you get those like news clippings later, which gesture towards Jennifer's parents dying. But the game never like links the two for you, which I like appreciated.
Well, I love like there's that sequence where you're chasing the butterfly and they start to like multiply every time you turn a corner. Like that is such a cool, like that little touch of surrealism. And even the airship itself is such a, because it's in part this orphanage that she lived in and partially the airship. And it's like this weird, it eventually becomes clear that this is not a literal space. This is like a composite space of memory, right? It's such a cool, like all-time haunted house. Like what a cool idea, Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. And I just like how like certain things will close off certain rooms and stuff like that. What's the name of the girl who is also in that lower?
Oh, Amanda. I think
Amanda. Yeah. The stuff with Amanda was cool. At least like doing stuff that will like bring her out of her room and then exploring her room and then reading her like journal and stuff. And
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. No. I mean, I like that there's kind of a like you get a sense of like, because it's a game where you're revisiting the same environment over and over again for the majority of it, right?
Yeah.
And so you get a sense of like where does each of the characters hang out, and like what does that say about them, and how do they interface with these things? You know, there's sort of I think that sense of routine is kind of like builds a lot of stuff into the game's fabric, right? In a really cool way.
Yeah. Yeah. I just like how you're in the dark for so much of the game.
Yeah, totally.
Even when you get to like a twist of like who is like in charge of like the game, and it's like, and I'm just sitting there like, I don't know who that is.
Yeah. Well, because you have, you know, because it's Wendy, right?
Yeah.
/ Joshua, who is like, who kind of helps you out a couple times. And so then when it's like her, it's like, oh, like she's like, it's a portrayal, but it kind of, the depth of it isn't really felt because you don't get, you know, every relationship in this game is sort of like, even when there's a positive moment, it's very fleeting and sort of singular, you know?
Yeah.
Like the stuff with Amanda where there's that scene where you like go on top of the airship and she like is crying and like running towards you and like weeping in your arms, and it's like, I'm sorry, like, you know, I'm sorry I did that to you, because she like had to put a rat in her face because of like the rules of the Aristocrat Club or whatever. And then, you know, then like 3 or 4 levels later, she's like built a effigy of Jennifer and is like beating the shit out of it with a stick.
Yeah.
You know, that there's just, yeah, like this sense of just complete abandonment and hostility, right?
Yeah. And I'm not sure how to feel about this, but like there's like a level of cruelty that the kids have. Like the first, like from the jump, they're like beating the shit out of the dog. Which like,
yeah, they kill that dog. That dog dies.
That dog dies, and it like hits you with it almost immediately.
Yeah.
And then you like, and then you know, non-linearly go back to where you first originally get the dog, and like, but there's also like a kind of, it almost feels muted as well, where it's like, it kind of just like washes over you because like there's no like good authority figure to like point at and be like, hey, the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, no, they're all like, it's heavily implied that the orphanage manager is like sexually abusing at least one of the kids.
Yeah. Right.
There's like, yeah, like all the adults become boss battles eventually, basically.
Yeah.
Right. Like they're all enemies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that is like, that's one of the things about it is that it is, and I guess we could talk a little bit more about gameplay, for lack of a better word, that it is quite literally a game about punishment, right? And the things you are doing in the game to like get these items and fulfill this like thing in this club you're in, right, is explicitly a form of punishment because you're on the lower rung of the social class, right? Like, and there's just a way that I think the game, and I mean, well, I don't know, it's quite unpleasant. The process of playing it is this is not fun, really. You know, and even like parts of it where like, especially these sections where it's just like you tell the dog to find something and you just have to go through like 5 or 6 rooms or whatever to get there. And so you're just following this dog and like looking at stuff, and there's nothing else to do. Like it's long stretches of like time to soak in the environment, time to contemplate, and also that is like boring, right? So it's like, it's no wonder this was not a hit with game critics back in the day, right? Like, it's so, it's un-video gamey in that way, even though it does have a lot of, like, it does have rooms where the door locks and you have to fight enemies before it'll unlock again.
Oh,
right?
It sure does. That's like I'm glad that it's not a Silent Hill clone, but
yeah,
if there's one thing I would have hoped it would take from Silent Hill, it's not to make the combat halfway decent.
Yeah. Well, and that's like, because she shrinks up and then like it's just kind of jabbing, so like the arc of where your weapon hits is really inconsistent, right? And then even when you get like the axe or the pipe, like the pipe you get like a little bit later, and then the axe you get right at the end of the game, which have a little bit of range, it's still like she kind of holds it into herself, right? So you don't get like a full sweep. Like it's very, and I think there's some deliberateness to that. I think it is partially like, hey, you're a scared teenage girl, right? Like it's whatever. But I do think that it is like Silent Hill is not like, does have a slickness to it and an immediacy to it that this does not have. Right.
Yeah, they give you they give you a 3-hit combo in this game, except the third hit locks you into the longest attack animation that you can't cancel out of. And if you you're invulnerable, so like if you get hit during this long ass animation, you're just fucked. It sucks.
Yeah. It is like, I will say I was because I think you mentioned to me that like you were like, man, the combat in this game is rough. and I was like, okay, yeah, like sure. Like it might be, and then I was playing it and I'm like, oh, there's not that much combat in it at all. Right? Yeah. Like it's pretty rare. And then the end of the game happens and I was like, oh God.
Yeah.
Like you get this huge, like, it's not really an action set piece because that's not really the tone of it, but it's like you got to run through the orphanage and kill specific kinds of enemies to open a door and are just being chased after the whole time. And it is like, it's pretty hard. That was like the first time in the game that I used save states because I was like, I just can't be asked to like do this again like 4 or 5 times. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my like breaking point was the mermaid and just like,
oh yeah,
the fact that it sucks because like I like what the game is doing with that boss battle. It is a representation of like abuse that this child is going through. But then you asked me to do a boss battle where like she's like spewing vomit and like the hitbox is so weird and like you just get like stun locked by it and then you have to like hit her like a billion times. It's like a 15-minute long boss battle. And I'm just like,
it's so long.
Come on.
I got it in 2. So
I turned invincibility on. I can't.
Yeah, right. I didn't do that, but I have like,
I was like, all right.
This is one of the things. In some ways, it's a virtue, and in some ways, it's a curse. But I do just have a lot of patience for that kind of stuff. I'm willing to do it, which is maybe unfortunate, but
it's the mean, in the world like where you can play it through an emulator and can like cheat, like it's fine,
Yeah, totally.
But like if I'm reviewing it for like IGN. And I have like a 12-hour deadline. Yeah, I'm sure I'm sure I'd give it like a 3. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's true that it's like it's a systemic problem that you don't have time,
Yeah.
But no, I think I mean, I think that's like one of the image of the mermaid where like her legs are tied all the way up. Right. And so it looks, and then her feet are like layered a little bit like fins, or are those fins? I guess so. Tails, mermaid tails. So like a word specific for fishtail. I don't, but yeah. Anyway. But is kind of like there is such a like body horror element of like people being twisted or contorted, or that the scene where they like have the bag that has the weird chimney in it and they just like put a bunch of creatures in there. Ugh, rough. Yeah, but I think it is.
The mermaid one especially is rough because like you get that scene after like all of the scenes of the what do you call it, like the principal like telling her to do things and she just looks miserable the entire time. It's like, yeah, that shit was rough.
Yeah, well, I think it is. I really kind of appreciate the way that it's just about the vulnerability you have as a child, and the fact that like, like all these kids that are in this orphanage, like they're not beings unto themselves. They're like, I mean, they're orphans. They're like owned by the state or have some sort of, you know what I mean? Like the principal's like their parent, legally speaking, right? In some sense. And so like there is a way, and this principal also just like lets the power dynamics just roll, like doesn't care that this stuff is happening, and I think there's just because there is like a cruelty to it, like you're right, but there is also such a like tenderness to it, and the way that the kind of ire of like a couple members of the club get turned on one other person, and so they like expose them or make fun of them or do whatever, like it's this like shifting set of like weirdo alliances, that can be turned on each other at any time. Like, I don't know. It's just very well drawn, I think, and it is very sympathetic the whole way through, basically. And maybe part of that is that it's about this person, processing their memories and trying to think through, like, as a much older person, trying to think about, like, what that time was like and what it actually meant, Yeah,
well, it's also about like Wendy doing all these things because she is jealous of the attention that Jennifer is giving Brown.
Yeah.
And so she forms this group and like acts against Jennifer, and then we never talked about like the capital P plot of the story.
No, not exactly. Yeah.
So like basically like Jennifer is at this orphanage after her parents die in that kind of airship place, and then gets like, wait, is she? Oh my god! Now I don't even remember. She was like kidnapped by somebody too.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure. This is something I'm a little fuzzy on. Is like what the relationship of like, I forget what his name is, but the stray dog.
Yeah.
And people who've not played this are like, what do you mean the stray dog?
Gregory
what does
Wilson.
That mean? Yes, thank you. Who's like a villager close by, basically.
Yeah,
right?
and so Jennifer gets kidnapped by him. And then he keeps her like in the basement, I guess. Because like this guy is like mourning the loss of his son. And then I think he makes her dress up as the
right.
As
so
the
yeah,
son.
Jennifer is Joshua. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Right.
And then Wendy like saves her from that. That takes her from the orphanage. And that's when like the thrust of the plot happens, where like Jennifer like meets this dog, or like comes across this dog and like is taking care of it, and then Wendy gets jealous and turns the whole like orphanage against Jennifer, and then that eventually doesn't really work. So she goes back to the kidnapper, and the kidnapper kills everybody in the orphanage except for Jennifer. And then like Wendy realizing like what she has done like way too late as the kidnapper commits suicide.
Yes, yeah.
So that's like the plot of the game.
Yes, yeah.
That is never really brought together by the game, which I think is cool.
No, it's really cool, yeah. Well, I think it even, because I think you're right, like you said earlier, that it, there's not really, like, the events of that plot are not really ambiguous, right? Like, all that is what happened, you know? Like, you find a newspaper clipping that's like, hey, this Gregory Wilson killed, you know, an unknown number of children at an orphanage, and, you know, et cetera, right? Like, that is a thing that occurs. But I think because, like, the way you experience all these events, and the way you experience, like, Gregory's relationship with Jennifer, is so diffuse and kind of distant, you know? And the, like... Yeah, like, you go into the basement room, and then you, like, flip over the bed covers, and there's, like, the boys' clothes under there, right? And stuff like the way that there's this, it sets up this kind of emotional or theoretical scaffolding around that stuff before it gives you any kind of practical, like, order of events, right? And I think it's really effective because it becomes like you do get to think about Jennifer as a person who's thinking about this stuff and what it means to her, right? Like, it's a cool place to be as, like, I think this is something I've been thinking about a little bit in relationship to like the virtues of having a camera that's not, like, locked to the hip of a character, right? And I think one of the things it does is that it establishes that there is a distance between you and this individual, right? That, like, the player is a different entity than the player character. Like, those are two separate things, right? And that there's a gap between those relationships. I think that this is a game that plays in that space in, I think, a really cool way.
And I also think that, like, because... So this game has, like, the longest, like before you hit the start button FMV sequence. I think
it's so long.
It's so... I'm, like, half convinced that they, like, had to put that in there to, like, appease some, like, executive somewhere that's like, you gotta have a thing where that explains what happens in the game,
right?
Because the whole plot happens in that FMV.
yeah
But I think the thing that is successful about that is, like, the fact that, like, it ends with Jennifer, like, waking up from the dream and, like, being able to move on from it. And so, like, playing the game knowing that Jennifer, like, gets out of the situation and is able to find... Because, like, she is triggered... Specifically, she's in a park and, you know, sees kids that remind her of the kids from the orphanage. And then, like, a dog is, like, coming up to her that looks like Brown. And so she is taken back. So it being this, like, moment in time and exploring that rather than, like, getting out of a situation, like, you already know that she is, like, survives this. So there's something, like, even though the story is, like, very sad and depressing, there is something, like, inherently, like, hopeful about the way it is framed. That I thought was interesting.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, it does have, like, there is sort of a fable quality to it, right? Like, it's not really like a morality play, but there's something simple about it, you know? I'm trying to think if I have more to talk about, or if there's, like... I mean, because it is a bit, like, in a certain sense, like, every level is kind of the same, you know? And there's, like, a few moments that really stand out in terms of that. Like, I don't say that as a complaint, like, it's about that in some degree. It's about routine and monotony, right? But I really like seeing the weird fishes swim inside the airship. That was cool.
Yeah.
In the Remain mission, that's sick. I like the stuff of, like, when the creatures come out, like when you go when you have to like restore the power and the power turns off, and then all of a sudden like everything's fucked up, and then when you get the power back on, it's like, oh, like things are back to normal again. And even like I like that shot right at the end when the orphanage like fills with enemies that you like go into the courtyard and then they're just like in the windows and bang on the windows and stuff. That's really good.
Yeah, I like that it's split up into like you pick between 3 chapters that you are going to play all of them eventually, but you can choose the order in which you're tackling them. I thought that was cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
It's great. I also hated it. Like every time you open the door and then one of those kids like just like slams the door shut.
Yeah.
Got me every time.
Well, it's good. Because we also talked about the thing of locking the door and having to fight enemies and whatever. The thing I do like about that is that it is like a social, like it's a little bit of social cruelty. It's like that there's some kid on the other side being like, I've got the door, I'm holding the handle and you can't open the door, you know, or whatever. And just being mean, you know? It's such a nice touch rather than it being like the like fucking cosmic sirens in Silent Hill 2 remake or whatever. You know. Yeah, no. I just think this is also it's beautiful. Like the cutscenes especially are gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like that was like my jaw was like dropping the whole time during that opening sequences. I was like, this looks so good. It's so pretty. And I mean, I think it's just such a like, this like rotting industrialism of the airship mixed with this like mannered, stodgy, you know, like orphanage home and all these like girls and, you know, who are all wearing sort of uniforms and like the way they curtsy so creepily at you and like the little monsters that are also children and also animals, but like they're like bird enemies that are like kids on stilts or whatever that just like peck down. You know what I'm talking about? Those weird guys.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just such a like cool, weird mix of stuff that is so like just kind of potent on its own terms, right? Like it's fun to look at. And I think that's part of it is like so much of the game is just you looking at stuff. And sometimes it is like, oh, I'm just going down a hallway or whatever. But like even these rooms, like there's such an attention to detail, like even rooms that you don't have to go into and that aren't really important to like the regular progression of the game get this like loving detail. Like the little rooms, the little livestock rooms on the airship, right? Where you have the little chicken rows and then like the place where there's like a cow or like a pig in there and like a couple things, you know? Mm-hmm. It's just nice. It's cool to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gaming. I mean, I guess I don't know if I have a lot to say about this, but there is a little bit about the game is a little bit about like being, you know, a young person who like kind of like being a tween almost, like being a child who is about to get older and become something closer to an adult and like the cusp of that and the kind of embarrassment of that. Like there's the one where I forget the name of the girl who has the glasses and is always reading, but she has like written a love poem to Diane, who's like the super bratty who you kind of think at the beginning is in charge of the aristocrat club, right? And then like a couple of them like embarrass that, you know, are like, oh, that's so embarrassing, like that becomes one of the little aristocrat club plots is to like embarrass her, but then they like blame it on Jennifer, right? And that's when you get the bag with all the critters. And it's so when she's like weeping and then she's like, it's the bag for her or whatever, you know? That's like, wow. That's teenage life right there. You know, someone saw the note you sent to your crush. Fuck. agonizing, you know? It is wild that those damn Italians were like, that's teenage eroticism. It's like sending a note to the girl you like. Yeah. And I mean, there is kind of like, because there's also this stuff where, like in the final level, which is basically like when the children have killed Brown and like fully turned hostile to Jennifer, basically. And they've like drawn on her clothes and stuff. Like there, I don't know. There's like there is a kind of like the game is partially about like has some psychosexual elements, I guess is the way to put it. But like it's not like more extreme than anything that's in Lord of the Flies, for example, right? Like it's all just kind of a piece with that sort of space. Also, I think it rules in the cutscene when she suddenly transforms into her younger self.
It's good, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Great.
Because it's like the first time you hear her speak, right? The whole game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because she basically like tells them all off and is like, and then is also like, I'm blame myself for like putting up with it for so long, you know. But then they like ostracize Wendy the way they were ostracizing her. Like it's just sad. It's really sad.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, I don't know if I have anything. I mean, there might be more to talk about. I don't know. I'm not angling for anything, I think. So we could certainly move on to questions unless there's something specific that you wanted to tackle.
No. Move on to questions. I'm dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have one question from Moss.
Mm-hmm.
Who says Rule of Rose might be one of the better depictions of bullying in video games, and how it is both intense and nonchalant. How one instance the bullies force the ones they pick on to commit horrible actions to animals or other kids, and another hang out in the hallway talking to the bullied as equals. Of course, the emotional manipulation is the point for bullies to make their targets out themselves and the actions made upon them, but I was not expecting a video game to nail this the way Rule of Rose does. Maybe too well, making it heavy and hard to recommend to others. What makes a good depiction of bullying different from a bad one? Is it possible to depict bullying well without triggering folks who experience it firsthand? And if so, how? Games that come to mind in regards to depictions of bullying: Life is Strange, Persona 3, Bully, Beyond Two Souls. That's all I could really remember.
Yeah.
You know.
Does the rival from Pokemon count? I don't think that quite cuts the mustard there. I mean, also I think that's a great observation. First of all, that's like part of the emotional texture of the game. And I think especially it becomes especially confusing because there is some level of nonlinearity.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool. You're right that's a thing. Moss is correct. The game does that very well. I don't know. I mean, I think it kind of is down to anything, I think. Like, I feel like it's about kind of understanding the emotional space and the details and not settling for cartoonishness when it isn't appropriate. Because sometimes you can use a shorthand and it's fine. You know what I mean? Like, it's whatever. But I think... I don't know. It's hard to write anything well, and it's also hard to be prescriptive about like how do you do a thing, especially like because bullying. I mean, like anything like this is really wide and complex, and people experience it in all kinds of different ways. And so I don't think it's so much about doing it right or wrong, but about trying to like make it resonant and maybe capturing like the emotional space and the details that like make it. Actually what it is, and not relying on sort of your idea of what bullying is like from media or from whatever's in your head, right? If that makes sense. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't think I have like a thing that's like, here's something you should not do, right? Because I think it just really depends.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. As for the second question, I mean, I don't know. I think this is tough to say. Because I kind of think that, something triggering a person is not really dependent on the thing itself, in my mind. That it's way more about how you are interfacing with that thing in the moment. And I don't know that it is helpful to think about to try and avoid that emotional response, because I think sometimes like things just are, things are triggering, and like it can be difficult, I think, to talk about something authentically or in a real way without risking that. And maybe the way you do it is you can make it more metaphorical, or you can, I think there maybe, and there's certainly ways you can approach it if like you want to write something for children about death or about whatever, right? And you maybe approach it in a sort of softer manner, but I don't think that's always the way forward, right? I think that's sort of something that I've been trying to kind of remember for myself. And I don't think, I'm trying to think of like media that's triggered me, which like it has happened for sure. But I don't know that, now I guess the thing I'm trying to remember for me is that like being triggered is not necessarily wisdom. Like your body is having a reaction, your mind is having a reaction, and that may not necessarily correlate to like what is actually happening. Right. And that isn't just like, you do have to take care of that. And sometimes it is like, oh, I've had this experience with people and this person is reminding me of that. And that might be because they're the kind of person that would do that thing to you, or they are doing it to you. Right. Like, I don't mean to, but I just mean that sometimes I do think it is like, I have a triggering experience and then things remind me of that and it triggers me, and the thing reminding me doesn't necessarily like have a direct like causal relationship to the fact that it's triggering me, right? Does that make sense? So basically, yeah, I just don't know that there's a way you can avoid this entirely. And also like what triggers people, what people find offensive, what people think about any of these things is super nuanced and multifaceted. And they're, I just don't think there's like the thing I would focus on. I mean, for as like someone who has written stuff, like, I mean, I wrote a short story that is in part about self-harm and sent it to a friend, and they were like, actually, I can't read this because it's too upsetting. Right. And I shared with other people who I also know have experiences with this kind of stuff, and for whom it was not an issue. Right. Like, I just don't think, and I don't know, maybe my story is fucked up. It's not for me to judge on some level. Right. But I think the thing you want to kind of focus on is resonance, and like, does this resonate with you as someone who's like either has had these kinds of experiences yourself or loves people who've had these kinds of experiences? And then also, does it resonate with people generally, and not worry as much about like, am I doing this right or wrong? Or am I doing this in like a harmful way or in a wrong way? Like, I think if you are careful and you're deliberate, like, and also there's only so much harm that a piece of media can do by definition. Like, I mean, and that stretches out to a certain point, right? Like, obviously there are books that have had like incredibly damaging effects on people's lives, right? Like, ideas are dangerous. I don't mean to suggest otherwise. Like, I don't mean to suggest that like Mein Kampf is totally innocent and that didn't have any role to play in that. Sorry, we're getting into some big shit here, but I just mean that like a video game or a children's TV show or a book you're reading, right? Like, you can always put it down. You can always walk away. People do have agency with how they engage with this stuff. And if it is upsetting, like, they should have, and if they don't, they should be given these tools, right, to deal with that, to process that and work through it, and to walk away and not engage anymore if they need to, right? Like, I think it's the way you approach that to me is way more about giving people tools to emotionally work through that stuff, or to like flag and be like, hey, I gotta duck out because this is too much for me or whatever, rather than being like, I can just avoid people's emotional discomfort. Like, I don't think you can do that. Because it's too unpredictable and it's not up to you, right? Whether that will happen or not. Mm-hmm. Ugh, sorry, that was a tear. I went on a tear, but you're welcome to add anything if you want, or contradict something I said. That's fine. Yeah, all right. Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, I have opinions about this, I guess. Because I just think I don't know. I don't mean to be like, let queer people be messy, but I just mean that like people's lives and stuff is messy. And like the representation where it was clear to me that people were putting off a checklist or explicitly not doing things because that's like, oh, like I'm not supposed to use the dead name. And so I won't. And that's like a brave act of resistance. Like that stuff turns me off so fast. Yeah. Right. Like because I feel like I'm being preached to and it doesn't feel like I'm being written about, you know? And I think something that this game is really, really good at is letting you sit in some of these discomforting feelings, right? And I think that I think that sometimes like being uncomfortable or being triggered can be productive and be like, and I don't mean to be like, you should seek it out or like also let's not put trigger warnings in things. Like people need to grow thicker skin. That's not what I mean at all. And I really hope I'm not coming off that way, but just like sometimes it's good to go into a work of art and be reminded of something unpleasant in your past. And hopefully that can be a means that you process and heal with that. And it's not something that that people use against themselves or that hurts them. Right. And there are, again, things can be harmful. But I want to feel like I personally want to feel like that I have a role to play and that I can always talk back. Right? Like no work of art is more powerful than me who am perceiving it. I'm always interacting with it. I'm always shaping what it means to me. And the gap can stop where I am. And I can choose to disengage in any way I want to. Right. And that's not always easy, but I think people can do that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing we didn't talk about earlier was that one level with the dead bird. And like you go through like this like a long like complicated puzzle to find this bird, and then it turns out to be dead because it's like one of the kids has like a bird in like a cage.
Well, sorry, keep going.
Yeah,
I'm getting excited to talk about this.
One of the girls just like kills, like a pair of girls just like kill it. And so you find it, and like the two girls are like looking on, like expecting some sort of reaction from like the person whose like pet it is. Instead we get this like really cool long like first person shot of the girl like putting the bird back in the cage and then walking up the stairs.
Well, yeah, it's specifically the camera's like inside the bird cage.
Yeah,
it's so cool. Yeah.
Speaking of games that know where to put the camera, okay?
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah, or that shot where in the mermaid one where there's like the two girls behind the like little aquarium and you're like seeing their reflection is God. It's incredible.
It's so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, and like a lot of that is like, all right, so you killed my pet. Now what? What changed? You know?
Yeah.
It's like
you
you didn't derive joy from my reaction because I didn't give you one. And also like my pet is dead and now I'm just gonna be sad about it. So like what was the point of that, you know?
Yeah. Well, and that's like the thing at the end, like when Jennifer like finally turns on everyone, you know, it's like, how could you believe these? Like, why? What is the point of this? You know? And it's sort of like the illusion shatters for everyone, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's cool stuff. And I think that, like, yeah, I mean, that there's so much stuff because it's, you know, again, it's a game about punishment and confinement, right? And so there being a lot of stuff where you're seeing people's faces through bars or through glass, and that kind of being, you know, and then the way that, like, all the girls, you know, you remember where the girls hang out, but like a lot of them are just like on their own. They're sort of siloed off, right? They all have their little spaces. It's just, yeah, it's just really artful. The way it constructs that, like, emotional space. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That was great. Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I was like on call with a couple of friends when I was playing that, and I was like, whoa, what? Ah!
Yeah.
The thing is, when you have one shot like that, it hits so hard.
Yeah.
But when the whole game is that, it's terrible. Don't do that. Stop doing it.
Yeah.
Ugh. All right, so we have one more activity.
Oh, sorry.
Right?
Another thing I wanted to call out. In that vein, it's so fucking sad. Oh, it's so sad. The towards the end of the game, where like it is getting to the part where like the kids kill Brown, and like you like are like I think you just hear like whimpering or something, but like you have to go upstairs and like examine all these different bags that like aren't him until you eventually find him, like where everybody else is at. It's so sad.
Yeah, well, also that part of the game, I had gotten really beaten up fighting the guys, and so I was limping the whole way.
You were going so slow.
Yeah, it was like brutal, and just like hearing the whimpers. Yeah,
the walking speed when you're damaged is illegal.
Yeah, it's so
not
slow.
Be allowed.
It's really wild.
God. But yeah, that ratcheting of the tension of like knowing what's about to happen, because the game already told you what's gonna happen, but also like,
well, and then going through like the final boss battle and stuff without Brown there for most of it, Brown to show up, because you know, again, it's memories, baby.
Yeah.
What do you think? I also was gonna ask about this and I forgot. What do you think about like the ending? Because you can have two endings basically, where you just like shoot Gregory, and then oh right, okay, sorry, I just a thing clocked into my head. It's that Wendy also pretends to be Joshua. Is the thing,
right? So
it's like so they both pretend. Like, I mean, Jennifer's forced into it, and Wendy pretends to do it to manipulate Gregory, right? Anyway, where like you go back to the shed where you found Brown and like tie him to the post. And it's kind of a metaphor. I mean, I think there's a way to read it that it's like this, like a way of like preserving these memories, or like, you know, treating them. But there's something, it is kind of sad. Like, it's like the dog can't leave, you know, you get this first person shot of the dog, like trying to go after. But I think, no, I'm kind of turning on it, because I think it is like the thing of like, basically just like, there's only so much I can carry with me now, you know, and I do have to like let this go, but this will like live on in this particular way, you know? But yeah, do you have any thoughts on like the kind of end sequence? Also the sepia stuff where it's like all in this like orange tone and stuff.
Yeah, it was such an interesting note to end on too, because can't you like, you can talk to Wendy in that scene, right? Yeah,
you can kind of wave at her, yeah. It's kind of like this, it's sort of before everything went wrong, you know?
Yeah.
And that's also like where you can like play your records and watch your movies, you know?
Right.
Isn't that like dream orphanage at the end?
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting. I did read it as like we're closing the book on like this memory.
Yeah.
Or like leaving it off on just remembering the good things about that time.
Yeah.
And it also, like, from Jennifer's perspective, like, tries not to blame Wendy for what happened, I guess.
Yeah.
So that kind of like forgiveness as well is like
an
aspect of
Well,
it
I think
too.
that's because that's also the thing is like the way you trigger that is you like offer Gregory the gun instead of shooting him with it, and then he kills himself, and sort of there being this like acceptance of what happened, basically. You know. And I think that is like the thing is I think that's like one of the things that kind of emotionally that hits about it is that there's really nothing else you can do, like especially when you're like a kid, you know, that it's like those things happened and they couldn't have been different because. And I think that's also the thing, there's almost this like emotional thing of like I couldn't go back there as me now and it would be different. You know, I couldn't make it right. You know, it would be the same, right? Because it can't be anything but that, right? That's like what the past is. And so having to like come to grips with that and accept it, I think it's really powerful. Cool stuff.
Cool stuff.
God. So as I mentioned, we have one more thing because it's been a year since the last time we did this. We're doing a tier list of the safe room games thus far.
Yep.
Do you have a thing? Do you want to share your screen, or how are we dropping? Okay.
Here we go. There it is.
Wow. Okay. This is going to be harder than last time, I feel. We've played some good video games.
That's the thing about this podcast is that it's not that big of a deal when you have to play games for Game Club if they're like the best game, if they're the best games ever made.
Yeah, literally. Can we make an F tier for Her Story? Can I request that?
We can make an F tier just in general also.
Yeah. And a row below. That's all right. Okay. Okay.
Her
so
Story is
established
immediately going there.
Yeah. 100%. Do you want to start at the top and go down?
Silent Hill.
A? I'm willing to go. I'd be willing to concede S on that. Like, it is really good.
I think it's S.
Okay.
Just because of the stuff it does is like.
Oh no, it's great. Don't get me wrong. Yeah.
The thing, and Night Dive Studios is remaking The Thing.
C? I could go lower on that one, honestly, but I really had a good time with it. I did not dislike it.
Yeah, I think C, because I feel like I'm going to get, I'm not mad at The Thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm mad about some of these other games, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I can live with C.
Silent Hill 2, S, obviously.
Fragile Dreams.
I think that's A.
Sure.
I think I like that game a little bit more than you, I think. But God, this big ad in the middle is so annoying. Why is it like
so
that?
stupid. I don't have my ad blocker installed. But
yeah, it's all right.
3? Silent 3?
S, obviously.
Harry. Cheryl Mason has a katana.
That's right. S tier. I don't know for 4. Because I do like it less than 1, 2, and 3. Like it is my least favorite Silent Hill. It still rules. It's still so good. you know?
Maybe.
Yeah, A is fair. But I'm, you know, I think you like it a little bit more than me also. Like you said that it's your favorite.
The things that are good about it are really, I don't know if it's my favorite anymore, but the things that are good about it are really fucking good.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Also,
I mean,
like,
yeah,
it's also just like such an aesthetic departure as well.
Yeah. It's so cool.
And I kind of respect it for that too.
Yeah. Well, like that, I rewatched the opening movie of that.
It's nuts.
It's so... Like, because it was someone in another Discord server I'm in posted it and just said, like, evil. And it does feel like a cursed object in and of itself, right? You know, it's very cool.
It does feel like a member of the dev team downloading a video editing software.
Oh,
and being like,
yeah.
Check this shit out.
But yeah, it's sick, though. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Nanashi no game.
B?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Dino Crisis.
Also B, I think. Yeah. I like Dino Crisis pretty well. Pity they never made a sequel to that.
Anatomy is S.
Yeah.
Not even a debate. Luigi's Mansion.
A.
It's such a fun homage.
It's so fun. Yeah. I mean, I love turning it into something cute. Like, I think it just is such a neat way of doing that.
Signalis. This is firmly a B for me.
Okay. Yeah. I'm good with B. I think when we first played it, I would have put it A, but B feels fine.
Dino Crisis 2.
D.
Milk.
This was controversial. I remember last time. I could go B or C on this one, is my feeling.
Do C. Of the text-based games we've played, it's the one that stuck with me less. So.
Oh yeah, true. Well, it's hard to beat the other one. Is the thing.
Yeah.
Dino Crisis 3 is F. 100% F.
Just straight dog shit.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh God, we're hitting some.
Let's do one first. Fatal Frame.
Yeah.
1.
B. I could go A on it.
I was gonna say A. But
yeah,
I could also.
Yeah.
I can also do.
I mean,
B.
it might be 1B, 2A, 3S for me.
Really? Because I think it's. I think it's 1. I think it's 1A, 2S, 3. Also A. But actually,
I mean,
okay. I think I actually agree though, because the first one definitely has like 2 is S for me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'll concede that. That's fine.
I feel like I think about 2 now compared to when I played it.
I mean, 2.
But it's so good.
It's so good. I don't know. Like, this is the thing. Is like, it's sort of, you know, I don't know. Complaining about playing Fatal Frame 2 instead of 3 or 3 instead of 2 is a bit like being like, oh, I'm at a 4-star Michelin restaurant. We could be a 5-star Michelin restaurant. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're just kind of an asshole at that point, right?
Yeah.
But 3, I guess the thing is, 2, fuck. 3 really hit for me emotionally, like throughout, in a way that 2 only hit for me at the end. I guess is like the distinction I would make.
That is true. Yeah. Man, that is tough though.
But yeah, also Fatal Frame 2 is like one of the best endings ever.
It's so good.
It's so hard.
It just fucking punches you in the face with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm like happy with it how it is, but
Yeah.
I could be convinced with 3 at S.
I keep going. I'm like, you could put 2 at S and I won't complain. You know, like I get it. Ugh. Those games are good. Fuck.
Those games are good.
I think we should maybe play the Wii one. Well, that remaster is out, right?
It is out. It's been out.
Yeah, it's been out. Yeah. So we could do that at some point because it's like less like playing the same game super quick in a row the way we were doing earlier. Sure.
Yeah.
We could put a pin in this. We can come back to it.
Alan Wake 1.
B. I would be okay with C, but in my heart of hearts, it's a B.
For me, it's a C. So
yeah.
Alan Wake 1.
That's all right.
Evil Within is probably the third act. The third act.
Oh yeah, B. Maybe it is B. But it's like the perfect video game up till then, you know.
Yeah, I feel like I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Serial Service Line is S. Is S for me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. God, what if we do a good show and I've played so many cool games because of the show. I'm just like I'm warm-hearted. I'm filled with gratitude. I'm like, wow, like would I have ever played the Serial Experiments Lane game had I not been on this podcast? Probably not. And my life would be lesser for it. You know?
I'll never have another opportunity to force my friends to play that at gunpoint.
Yeah.
It's like, it's 12 hours of people talking, and it's miserable.
It's one of the best to ever do it!
And the UI sucks, but it's the best game ever made.
The UI is so rough.
You ever watch Persona? Right. It's like that, but it's a video game. It's fucking art. Alan Wake 2 is an A for me.
Yeah, I think that's right. I like Alan Wake 2 a lot still, but I don't like think about it the way that I think about like Silent Hill 2 or 3. Which is like, I think about Silent Hill 2 and 3 like every day. And part of it is now that I'm fixated on them a little bit because Remake came out, but like, you know. Alan Wake 2 I think about and sometimes I'm like, yeah, that was cool. Remember when you go to the movie theater and you could watch that movie? Like, that's sick.
It's so sick. Yeah. I think the way people talk about Alan Wake 2 is the thing that's annoying to me about it.
Oh, yeah.
But when I think about that game and like playing it, I'm like, oh yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
It was a cool thing.
Yeah, did you play Lake House?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was fun. It's just like a little short story. Also, yeah, that Poe song is great.
It's so fucking good.
It's real good. So good that that's there. You know?
Yeah. Resident Evil remake.
Oh, I mean, it's at least A.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It is such like one of the games of all time.
Right.
Like, it feels like it could be an S.
Yeah, because it's not a game that I like have a lot of emotions about. And not even just like in terms of narrative, but just I'm not like, oh my god, like I love, like I'm excited to play that game again because it's so much fun. Like I don't really think about it in that way, but like it is good. It's inarguable, you know.
I'll keep it there.
Yeah.
Evil Within 2.
I think also a B. Just because like the highs are higher in Evil Within 1 and the lows are lower, but I don't think that Evil Within 2 surpasses 1 by being like a little bit more even, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
It's a good game though.
Immortality.
C.
Yeah, I was gonna say C.
Okay, cool. We're in agreement. We're aligned. We're getting to a couple hard ones now.
The Silver Case.
A? I would allow an S. I'll allow it.
I was gonna say B.
Oh. Okay.
But I don't know.
No, I'm up for that.
I don't know if it's because like I thought it was going to be scarier, you know?
Yeah. Particularly like the opening stuff is scary.
There's some really good stuff though.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I
think it is. I also feel like it's a game I just don't have as strong a memory of as I would like to.
Yeah.
Something I'd like to revisit for sure. But yeah, so A is good, B is good. I think
I'm going with A because I just remembered like all the like FMV stuff that they did and like towards the middle of the game.
Yeah.
All the like side story stuff. It's good.
It's good. It's cool when a game is like a TV show.
It's cool. Speaking of that, Killer 7.
A? Sometimes when you, because you have to scroll up and you're putting it like in lower ranks so you can like, sometimes my heart stops. I'm like, Killer 7, a D? You can't do that. Unjust.
It could be an S is the thing.
Yeah, it really could be. I mean, we put it on S. We could put S. We you know. I don't feel like we have an excess of S rank titles, you know? I think we have a good amount.
Dead Space.
B.
Crow Country.
A. Oh, Crow Country's good.
Oh, it's good. Okay. I feel like Silver Case I want to move to B.
Okay.
And then Killer 7 I want to move to A.
All right. I'm cool with that.
Like the highs of Silver Case are really good. But then Killer 7 is like, that's the genre distilled down to its bare. It's fucking great.
Yeah, it's very good.
But I don't think it's like S for me.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, God.
Silent Hill 2 remake. D.
Oh.
Like, I do think it's 2 stars and not 1 star. You know? But I don't like it. I think it's bad.
I think for me it's a C. The fear in the pit of my stomach as I said those words, I cannot convey to you.
Oh, wow. I mean, yeah, I feel firmly that it's a D. I feel strongly.
Damn.
But Rule of Rose is probably an S for me. But I would be okay putting it in A. I think B is too low, but that's just me.
I'll let you have Rule of Rose at S if you let me put the Silent Hill 2 remake in C.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Oh, that pains me, but I'll make that deal. I'd rather celebrate the things I love than denigrate the things I hate, you know?
Yeah.
God, I can't.
I don't know.
Me.
I'm looking at it and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, like Immortality is better than Silent Hill 2. Sorry, I don't know what that gremlin voice was.
The problem,
you know?
Here's the problem. For me, it's like when I'm eating the meal is pretty good. And then when I think about the meal, it sucked.
Yeah. I understand. No, I think I also just I disliked the game more moment to moment than you did, for sure. Like that was something we talked about in our show.
I can go between C and D, so I'll just leave it at D.
Yeah. All right. Well, Grace wins yet again. Grace unstoppable. I feel good about this. This was God. Oh yeah, would you send me this image also?
I'm just taking one last vibe check from it.
Yeah. Do we want to move a Fatal Frame up to S?
Which one though?
God, I keep flip-flopping. I think for me it's 3. But I would not be upset if it was 2. 2's real good.
It's tough. It's also it's hard because the imagery of 2 stays with me more than 3, but also 3 is a fucking banger too.
Yeah. Let's do 2. I feel good about 2. Honestly, sincerely.
I would probably move Silent Hill down to A.
Okay. Well, now that S tier is just heaters. I mean, it was already, really, but it just feels like, ooh, shiny, polished.
Yeah. I'm pretty happy with this where it is.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool.
No. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a podcast.
Yeah. Thank you. That was so fun. This needs to be a tradition every year. The thing is that the segment just gets longer every time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We play good games. It's fun though.
We do. Yeah, we do. Speaking of which,
oh man.
We're playing Pathologic 2 next step.
Yep. What better way to celebrate living in a hopeless dystopian future than loading up some Pathologic 2,
Yeah. I mean, last time I was playing Pathologic 2 was in the year of our Lord, 2020.
Oof.
So
that's rough.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of was, I don't know. It was very weird. Because also I was like, because it's just kind of grueling in some ways. And so I was like, basically I was like, I have to, if I'm never going to get through this unless I say I'm going to play an hour,
Yeah.
I'll play an hour a day. And then I did. I managed it. But yeah, that's all-timer.
Yeah. I'm playing it slowly, but it is so hard to play in long sittings. So
yeah, for sure. I need to get started on that tomorrow. Because it worked out with Roll Rust fine, I think. But I always push to the last week. And for this, it's too long and too difficult for me to do that. So, but yeah.
I've had a head start, but even then I'm on day 3.
Right. Yeah. I think some of the later days do go by a little faster, but it's still pretty. And there's also sometimes you get stuck and you're like, wait, how do I get through this without losing a couple hours of progress?
Mm-hmm.
Because I need to eat, but I don't have enough. Oh my God. But I guess you've also got there's all the options for tweaking the difficulty, so you can also just turn that shit off and be a normal person about it.
Yeah. Except they make you turn it on every time you boot up the game.
You know what we should play next year? Sorry, this is not really related, but we should play The Path, the Tale of Tales game. Do you know what this is? It's on Steam.
I got a show starring that guy from Aaron Paul.
Aaron Paul? Yeah, it's like like a Little Red Riding Hood riff, kind of. But yeah, like kind of art game that got some press back. Like I remember reading about it back in 2009.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. I think that's it. Where can people find you on the internet?
At Bluest Rose on Blue Sky, I guess.
At Grace Machine.
Posting happens.
Yeah, I have not. I haven't like deleted my posts or anything like I kind of intended to do, but I'm like not posting on Twitter or logging on really at this point. So, yeah, which I don't know. It feels fine, I guess, but it is like a weird thing, you know.
Yeah.
Also, Blue Sky is cringe as hell, which, you know, not that Twitter isn't cringe, but it's like a particular recipe.
Yeah.
I think everyone who writes a post that's like, here at Blue Sky, we do things differently, should send me a check. That's what I think. Yeah, you can find the show at spookygame.club. You can also find our Patreon there, and our Discord, patreon.com/the safe room, I think. Or maybe Safe Room Podcast. I don't remember. But there you can support us and get access to other stuff. My brain went completely blank. What did we watch this month for the movie show?
A Girl Walked Home Alone at Night. And
yes, yeah.
And also we talked about Heretic.
Yes, we did, yeah. Both 3-star movies, though kind of different in way of approaching that space. Yeah. So, yeah. So, I don't know. Cool stuff we're doing, and hopefully we'll have an episode of Closet Crit soon. I need to message Soph about it. But yeah, we got cool stuff over there. You can check it out if you haven't already. And yeah, that's it. Goodbye. Does a creepy curtsy.